After decades of helping thousands of people transform their financial lives, I've discovered something remarkable. The people who attract abundance effortlessly all have one thing in common. They've mastered what I call the mirror effect, the secret of making their external world reflect their deepest desires. This isn't about positive thinking or visualization. This is about understanding and applying a fundamental law of consciousness that most people never discover, but once you know it, abundance becomes as natural as breathing. My dear friend, if you've been struggling to attract the abundance you desire, if you've tried affirmations and visualizations but still find money slipping through your fingers, if you feel frustrated by the gap between what you want and what you're experiencing, then you need to understand this fundamental truth. Your outer world is always a perfect reflection of your inner world. For over 4 decades, I've studied the deepest principles of prosperity consciousness, and I've discovered that there's one law that governs all others, what I call the reflection secret. This isn't just another manifestation technique or positive thinking method. This is the master key that unlocks all abundance, the principle that makes every other prosperity method work more effectively. When you understand this reflection secret, when you learn to consciously direct the mirror effect that's always operating in your life, you'll discover that attracting money becomes as natural and automatic as your reflection appearing when you stand before a mirror. You won't have to struggle or force or chase abundance. It will flow to you as the natural consequence of aligning your inner reality with your deepest desires. You see, most people have been approaching abundance backwards. They think that if they can just change their circumstances, if they can just get the right job or make the right investment or meet the right people, then they'll feel abundant and prosperous. But this is like trying to change your reflection by painting the mirror. The truth that the great prosperity teachers have always known is this: you cannot change your outer world without first changing your inner world. Your circumstances don't create your consciousness. Your consciousness creates your circumstances. Your financial situation doesn't determine how you feel about money. How you feel about money determines your financial situation. This is the reflection secret in its most basic form, the recognition that everything in your external experience is a mirror reflecting back to you the contents of your consciousness. When you have poverty consciousness, your outer world reflects poverty. When you have abundance consciousness, your outer world reflects abundance. But here's what most people miss, and this is the key that makes all the difference. The mirror doesn't just reflect your conscious thoughts and desires. It reflects everything in your consciousness, your beliefs, your fears, your doubts, your unconscious patterns, your deepest assumptions about yourself and what you deserve. This is why someone can spend hours every day affirming prosperity while their bank account remains empty. Their conscious mind is saying one thing, but their subconscious mind, which is far more powerful, is broadcasting something completely different. And the mirror reality reflects the deeper truth, not the surface desires. Over the next 2 hours, I'm going to take you on a journey that will completely transform how you understand and create abundance. We'll begin by exploring exactly how this mirror effect works, the precise mechanisms by which your consciousness creates your circumstances, and why understanding these mechanisms is crucial to your financial success. Then I'll reveal to you the specific components of abundance consciousness, what must be present in your inner world for prosperity to appear in your outer world. You'll learn to identify and transform the hidden blocks that have been sabotaging your efforts to attract money. I'll share with you the exact techniques for consciously directing this mirror effect, for programming your subconscious mind so completely with abundance consciousness that prosperity becomes your automatic, natural expression. You'll discover how to make your inner world so rich, so abundant, so overflowing with wealth consciousness that your outer world has no choice but to reflect that abundance back to you. Most importantly, you'll learn that the reflection secret doesn't just apply to money. When you master this principle, when you truly understand how your consciousness creates your reality, you'll be able to consciously design every aspect of your life, your relationships, your health, your career, your entire experience of being alive. By the end of our time together, you'll possess not just knowledge, but practical mastery of the most powerful principle for creating abundance that has ever been discovered. So prepare yourself to discover the secret that will make you a magnet for prosperity. Understanding the mirror effect. My beloved friend, Let me begin by sharing with you a truth that will forever change how you see your financial circumstances. Everything in your outer world, every dollar in your bank account, every bill on your desk, every opportunity that comes or goes, every financial experience you have is nothing more than a perfect reflection of what exists in your inner world of consciousness. This is not metaphor or philosophy. This is the most practical, scientific truth about how reality works. Your external world is like a giant mirror that shows you exactly what you believe, feel, and expect in the deepest parts of your mind. When you stand before a physical mirror, you don't expect to see someone else's reflection, do you? You know with absolute certainty that the mirror will show you exactly how you look. Well, your life circumstances work exactly the same way. They show you exactly how your consciousness looks, what patterns are operating, what beliefs are active, what expectations are running your subconscious programming. Let me share with you a story that illustrates this principle perfectly. Several years ago, I worked with a businessman named David who was deeply frustrated by his financial situation. He had started 3 different businesses, and each one had failed within 2 years. He couldn't understand why, because he was intelligent, hardworking, and had good business ideas. When David came to see me, he was convinced that his failures were due to bad luck, difficult market conditions, or unfair competition. He saw himself as a victim of external circumstances beyond his control. But as we talked, I began to help him see something he had never recognized. His outer failures were perfectly reflecting his inner programming. You see, David had grown up with a father who had also failed in business multiple times. Throughout his childhood, David had heard his father say things like, "Business is risky. You can't trust anyone in business. The little guy always gets crushed, and success requires sacrificing your integrity." Without realizing it, David had absorbed all of these beliefs into his subconscious mind. Deep down, he expected business to be difficult and dangerous. He expected people to betray him. He expected failure and struggle. And his outer world was simply reflecting these inner expectations with perfect accuracy. Once David understood this mirror effect, everything changed. Instead of trying to fix his external circumstances, he began working on his internal programming. He identified and transformed the limiting beliefs he had inherited from his father. He began to see business as an opportunity to serve others and create value. He started expecting success, trust, and abundance. The results were remarkable. His next business venture was not only successful, it exceeded his wildest dreams. Within 3 years, he had built a company that generated millions in revenue. The mirror of his outer world had simply reflected the transformation that had occurred in his inner world. This is how the mirror effect works. Your external circumstances are not random, they're not accidents. They're not punishments or rewards from some external force. They are precise reflections of your consciousness, your beliefs, expectations, fears, and assumptions. Now, let me explain to you the deeper mechanics of how this mirror works, because understanding these mechanics is crucial to your ability to consciously direct this process. Your subconscious mind is like a vast broadcasting station constantly sending out signals that attract circumstances, people, and experiences that match those signals. These signals are not your conscious thoughts. They're the deeper patterns of belief and expectation that operate below your everyday awareness. Think of it this way. Your subconscious mind is like a radio station that's broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The frequency it broadcasts is determined by your dominant beliefs and expectations about yourself, about money, about success, about what you deserve and what's possible for you. The universe, in its infinite intelligence, acts like a giant receiving station that picks up your subconscious broadcasts and sends back to you circumstances that match your frequency. If you're broadcasting poverty consciousness, you receive poverty circumstances. If you're broadcasting abundance consciousness, you receive abundance circumstances. But here's what most people don't understand. You can't fake this frequency. You can't fool your subconscious mind or the universal receiving station by thinking positive thoughts on the surface while maintaining negative beliefs underneath. The mirror reflects your total consciousness, not just the parts you're aware of. This is why affirmations alone often don't work. Someone might spend 30 minutes every morning saying, I am wealthy and prosperous. But if they spend the rest of the day worrying about money, criticizing wealthy people, or believing they don't deserve abundance, their subconscious is broadcasting scarcity, not prosperity. I once worked with a woman named Sarah who had been doing abundance affirmations for over 5 years with no results. She couldn't understand why her financial situation hadn't improved despite her daily practice. When we explored her deeper beliefs, we discovered that she had been raised to believe that wanting money was selfish, that wealthy people were somehow bad, and that she didn't deserve to have more than just enough to get by. Her conscious mind was saying, I am wealthy, but her subconscious mind was broadcasting, I don't deserve wealth, wanting money is wrong, and wealthy people are bad. The mirror of reality was reflecting her subconscious programming, not her conscious affirmations. Once Sarah understood this, she began working on transforming her deeper beliefs about money and worthiness. As her subconscious programming shifted, her outer world began to change. Within 18 months, she had tripled her income and was living the abundant life she had been affirming for years. This brings me to something very important that I want you to understand. The mirror effect is not concerned with fairness or logic or what you think you deserve based on your efforts. It simply reflects what's really in your consciousness, not what you think should be there or wish was there. If you have hidden beliefs that money is evil, the mirror will reflect financial struggle, even if you consciously want wealth. If you have deep feelings of unworthiness, the mirror will reflect experiences that confirm your unworthiness, even if you're trying to feel worthy. If you have unconscious expectations of failure, the mirror will reflect failure even if you're working hard to succeed. But the beautiful truth is that once you understand how this mirror works, once you learn to consciously program your subconscious mind with the consciousness you want to experience, you can literally transform your entire reality. The mirror effect is not working against you, it's working for you. It's showing you exactly what needs to be changed in your consciousness so you can create the abundance you desire. Every financial challenge you face is simply your inner world asking for transformation. Every struggle with money is your subconscious mind calling for new programming. Now, you might be wondering, if this mirror effect is so precise, why do some people seem to have abundance without understanding these principles? The answer is simple. They naturally developed abundance consciousness through their upbringing, experiences, or innate personality. They may not understand the mechanics of what they're doing, but they're broadcasting abundance frequency nonetheless. Think about someone you know who seems to attract money effortlessly. If you listen to how they talk about money, you'll notice they have a natural expectation of abundance. They believe they deserve good things. They see opportunities where others see problems. They have what I call unconscious abundance programming. But you don't have to leave this to chance. You don't have to hope you were lucky enough to develop natural abundance consciousness. You can consciously and deliberately create the inner conditions that will transform your outer world. This is the power of understanding the mirror effect. Once you know how it works, once you realize that you have complete control over what gets reflected back to you, you can begin the process of becoming a conscious creator of your financial reality. But understanding this mirror effect is just the beginning. Now you need to know exactly what abundance consciousness looks like, what must be present in your inner world for prosperity to appear in your outer world. And that's what I'm going to share with you next. The anatomy of abundance consciousness. My dear friend, now that you understand how the mirror effect works, let me reveal to you the exact components of abundance consciousness. What must be present in your inner world for prosperity to manifest in your outer world. This isn't guesswork or theory. This is the precise anatomy of the consciousness that naturally attracts wealth like a magnet attracts iron. Over the decades I've spent studying prosperous people, I've discovered that abundance consciousness has 3 essential components, like 3 pillars that support a magnificent building. When all 3 are present and strong, abundance flows naturally and effortlessly. When anyone is missing or weak, financial struggle is inevitable, no matter how hard you work or how smart you are. The first pillar, and the most important one, is what I call deep, unshakable self-worth. This isn't surface-level confidence or positive self-talk. This is a profound cellular level, knowing that you are worthy of abundance simply because you exist. Let me explain this more deeply, because this is where most people's abundance efforts fail. True self-worth is not based on what you do, what you achieve, how hard you work, or how much you sacrifice. It's the recognition that you are a divine being, created by infinite intelligence, deserving of all good things simply by virtue of being alive. Most people have conditional self-worth. They think they're worthy of abundance only if they work hard enough, only if they help enough people, only if they're good enough, smart enough, or deserving enough. But abundance consciousness knows that worthiness is not earned, it's inherent. I once worked with a brilliant doctor named Michael who was struggling financially despite his successful practice. He worked long hours, helped many people, and was highly respected in his field. Yet he could never seem to get ahead financially. His practice barely broke even, and he lived with constant money worries. When we explored his deeper beliefs, we discovered that Michael had grown up in a family where love and approval were conditional on achievement. His parents only praised him when he got good grades, won awards, or accomplished something impressive. He learned to believe that he was only worthy of good things when he earned them through exceptional performance. This programming was sabotaging his abundance in subtle but powerful ways. Deep down, he never felt he had done enough to deserve wealth. No matter how many patients he helped or how hard he worked, there was always a voice inside saying he needed to do more before he could truly prosper. As we worked together to heal this programming, as Michael learned to feel worthy simply for being himself rather than for what he accomplished, his financial situation transformed completely. His practice began attracting better-paying patients. He started receiving opportunities for lucrative consulting work. Within 2 years, his income had increased by over 300%. Not because he was working harder, but because he finally felt worthy of abundance. This is the power of the first pillar, deep self-worth. When you truly know, in every cell of your being, that you deserve abundance, that you are worthy of prosperity, that the universe wants you to live richly and fully, that knowing becomes a magnetic force that draws wealth to you effortlessly. But self-worth alone is not enough. You also need the second pillar, abundance beliefs and expectations. These are your mental frameworks about money, success, and what's possible for you. Your beliefs act like filters that determine what you notice, what opportunities you recognize, and what actions you take. If you believe that money is hard to come by, you'll only notice evidence that supports this belief. If you believe that success requires sacrifice and struggle, you'll unconsciously create circumstances that involve sacrifice and struggle. If you believe there's not enough abundance to go around, you'll compete instead of collaborate, which actually repels abundance. But when you have true abundance beliefs, everything changes. You believe that money flows easily and naturally to those who are aligned with it. You believe that success can be joyful and effortless. You believe that the universe is infinitely abundant and there's more than enough for everyone, including you. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. I knew 2 men who started similar businesses at exactly the same time with similar resources and opportunities. After 5 years, one had built a multi-million-dollar company while the other was still struggling to make ends meet. The difference wasn't in their intelligence, work ethic, or business skills. The difference was in their beliefs. The successful man believed that business was a game to be enjoyed, that customers were eager to give him money in exchange for value, and that success was his natural birthright. The struggling man believed that business was a constant battle, that customers had to be convinced and persuaded, and that success was reserved for the lucky few. These beliefs created completely different experiences. The successful man approached business with joy and confidence, which attracted customers and opportunities. The struggling man approached business with stress and fear, which repelled the very success he was trying to create. Your beliefs are like the programming in a computer. They determine what functions are possible and what results you can achieve. When you program your mind with abundance beliefs, you automatically notice opportunities that others miss, take actions that lead to prosperity, and attract circumstances that support your financial success. But even self-worth and abundance beliefs are not sufficient on their own. You need the third pillar, the emotional frequency of gratitude and appreciation. This is your feeling state, your vibrational frequency, the energy you broadcast into the world. Gratitude is not just a nice spiritual concept. It's a powerful magnetic force that attracts abundance. When you feel genuinely grateful for what you have, when you appreciate the abundance that already exists in your life, when you maintain a state of thankfulness regardless of your current circumstances, you align yourself with the frequency of abundance. Most people make the mistake of thinking they'll feel grateful when they have abundance. But the mirror effect works in reverse. You must feel grateful first, and then abundance appears to match that grateful feeling. I remember working with a single mother named Lisa who was struggling to support her 2 children on a minimum wage job. She felt bitter about her situation, resentful of people who had more money, and constantly worried about her financial future. Her mirror was reflecting exactly what she was broadcasting: scarcity, struggle, and lack. I taught Lisa to begin each day by finding things to feel genuinely grateful for, even in her difficult circumstances. She started appreciating her health, her children's love, the roof over their heads, the food in their kitchen, her ability to work and earn money. At first, this felt forced and artificial, but gradually it became natural and genuine. As Lisa's emotional frequency shifted from resentment to gratitude, her outer world began to change. She was offered better positions at work. Unexpected money came from various sources. People began helping her in ways she never could have imagined. Within 18 months, she had doubled her income and moved her family into a beautiful home. The gratitude hadn't just made her feel better. It had literally changed what her consciousness was broadcasting, which changed what the mirror of reality reflected back to her. These 3 pillars, self-worth, abundance beliefs, and gratitude, work together to create what I call prosperity consciousness. When all 3 are strong and aligned, they create an irresistible magnetic field that draws abundance from every direction. But here's something important to understand. You can't fake these qualities or manufacture them through willpower alone. They must be developed gradually and genuinely through consistent practice and inner work. The good news is that as you strengthen one pillar, it makes it easier to strengthen the others. As your self-worth grows, your abundance beliefs naturally expand. As your beliefs improve, gratitude becomes more natural. As gratitude increases, your sense of worthiness deepens. This creates what I call an abundance spiral. Each improvement in your consciousness creates conditions that support further improvement, which creates even greater abundance, which strengthens your consciousness even more. Now that you understand what abundance consciousness looks like, let me show you how to read your current circumstances to understand exactly what's operating in your inner world right now. Because before you can transform your mirror, you need to know what it's currently reflecting. Identifying your current mirror, my beloved friend, one of the most valuable skills you can develop is the ability to read your current circumstances like a book that tells you exactly what's happening in your consciousness. Your outer world is constantly giving you feedback about your inner world, but most people don't know how to interpret this feedback correctly. When you learn to read your mirror accurately, you gain tremendous power because you can identify exactly what needs to be changed in your consciousness to create the abundance you desire. Instead of being confused by your circumstances, you become a detective who can trace every external pattern back to its internal cause. Let me start by teaching you how to read your financial mirror, because this is where the reflection is often most clear and immediate. Look at your current financial situation with fresh eyes, as if you're observing someone else's life. What patterns do you see? Do you notice feast or famine cycles where money comes and then quickly goes? This typically reflects beliefs about not deserving to have money or fears about holding on to abundance. Do you find yourself constantly working harder but never getting ahead? This usually reflects beliefs that money is hard to come by, that you must struggle to deserve prosperity, or that success requires sacrifice. Do you notice that you always have just enough to get by, but never quite enough to feel truly prosperous? This often reflects beliefs about being worthy of survival but not worthy of abundance, or fears about what might happen if you had too much. Do you see patterns where financial opportunities appear but then fall through at the last minute? This typically indicates internal conflicts. Part of you wants abundance while another part fears it or believes you don't deserve it. Let me share with you the story of a man named Robert whose financial mirror revealed a fascinating pattern. Robert was a talented salesperson who consistently performed well but could never seem to break through to the highest income levels in his company. Year after year, he would get close to the top tier, then something would happen to knock him back down. When we examined this pattern, we discovered that Robert had unconscious guilt about earning more money than his father had ever made. His father had been a hardworking man who struggled financially his entire life, and Robert felt like surpassing his father would somehow be a betrayal. This internal conflict was creating the yo-yo pattern in his external results. Part of his consciousness was driving him towards success, while another part was sabotaging that success to avoid the guilt of outdoing his father. Once Robert recognized this pattern and worked through the emotional blocks, his career took off immediately. Within 6 months, he had achieved the breakthrough he had been unconsciously preventing for years. This is the power of reading your financial mirror correctly. Every pattern has a cause. Every struggle has a purpose. Every limitation reflects a corresponding limitation in consciousness. But your financial situation is not the only mirror available to you. Your relationships also provide powerful feedback about your inner world, particularly about how you see yourself and what you believe you deserve. Look at the quality of relationships in your life. Do you attract people who respect and value you, or do you find yourself in relationships where you're taken for granted or treated poorly? The way others treat you is often a direct reflection of how you treat yourself and what you believe you deserve. Do you notice patterns where you give much more than you receive? This often reflects beliefs about needing to earn love through service, or feelings of unworthiness that make you willing to accept less than you give. Do you find yourself in relationships with people who have financial problems or who drain your resources? This usually indicates that somewhere in your consciousness, you believe that love requires sacrifice, or that you're only worthy of people who need fixing. I worked with a successful businesswoman named Carol, who had a pattern of attracting romantic partners who were financially irresponsible. She would meet men who seemed wonderful at first, but inevitably she would end up supporting them financially while they pursued their dreams or dealt with their problems. Carol couldn't understand why this kept happening to her. She was intelligent, successful, and capable of attracting high-quality men in every area except finances. When we explored her relationship patterns, we discovered that Carol had learned in childhood that the way to feel needed and loved was to be the rescuer, the one who solved other people's problems. Her financial success had made her feel guilty because she had more than many people she cared about. Unconsciously, she was attracted to men who needed her money because supporting them made her feel valuable and worthy of love. Once Carol understood this pattern, she was able to transform her relationship consciousness. She learned to value herself for who she was, not for what she could provide. Within a year, she had attracted a partner who was not only emotionally mature, but also financially successful and independent. Your health and vitality also serve as mirrors that reflect your consciousness about life force, energy, and your right to fully inhabit your physical body. Do you have vibrant energy, or do you often feel drained and depleted? Do you take care of your body with love and respect, or do you neglect or abuse it? Your energy levels often reflect your beliefs about whether you deserve to feel good, whether life is supposed to be enjoyed or endured, and whether you have permission to be fully alive and vital. Your career and work life provide another powerful mirror. Do you feel fulfilled and excited about your work, or do you dread Monday mornings? Do you feel valued and respected in your career, or do you feel invisible and underappreciated? The satisfaction you experience in your work often reflects your beliefs about your own talents and abilities, your sense of purpose and contribution, and your feelings about whether you deserve to love what you do for a living. I remember working with a teacher named David, who was brilliant and passionate about education but felt constantly frustrated and unappreciated in his job. He believed he was making a difference in his students' lives, but the school system seemed designed to crush his enthusiasm and creativity. When we examined David's career mirror, we discovered that he had deep beliefs about having to choose between making money and making a meaningful contribution. He believed that truly valuable work shouldn't be well compensated, and that wanting financial reward for helping others was somehow selfish. This belief was creating his frustrating work situation. His consciousness was broadcasting the message that meaningful work and financial reward were incompatible, and his outer world was reflecting this belief perfectly. As David transformed these limiting beliefs and learned to value both contribution and compensation, his career began to change dramatically. He was offered opportunities to develop educational programs that were both meaningful and lucrative. Eventually, he started his own educational consulting company that allowed him to make an even greater impact while earning far more than he had ever imagined possible as a teacher. The key to reading your mirrors accurately is to look for patterns rather than isolated incidents. One difficult relationship or financial setback might be circumstantial, but patterns reveal programming. When you see the same types of challenges appearing repeatedly in your life, you can be certain that there's corresponding programming in your consciousness that's creating these experiences. But here's something crucial that I want you to understand. Identifying limiting patterns in your consciousness is not about judging yourself or feeling bad about what you discover. These patterns develop for good reasons. They were your psyche's attempt to keep you safe, loved, or accepted based on what you learned early in life. The goal is not to criticize yourself for having limiting programming. The goal is to recognize these patterns with compassion and gratitude because they're showing you exactly what needs to be transformed for you to create the abundance you desire. Every challenge in your outer world is your inner world asking for healing and transformation. Every limitation in your circumstances is your consciousness calling for expansion and growth. When you see your mirror this way, your problems become your greatest allies in creating the life you truly want. Now that you can read your current mirror and understand what it's reflecting, you're ready to learn the specific techniques for transforming your inner world so your outer world must reflect the abundance you desire. Transforming your inner mirror. My dear friend, now comes the most important part of our journey together. Learning how to consciously transform your inner world so your outer world must reflect the abundance you desire. What I'm about to share with you are not just techniques or exercises. They are sacred practices that will reconnect you with your true nature as an unlimited being capable of creating any reality you choose. The transformation of consciousness is both the simplest and the most profound work you can do. It's simple because it requires no special talents, no external resources, no permission from anyone else. It's profound because it literally changes the fabric of your reality from the inside out. Let me begin by teaching you what I call the inner abundance ritual, a daily practice that will systematically reprogram your subconscious mind for prosperity and success. This ritual works by creating new neural pathways in your brain while simultaneously impressing abundance consciousness deep into your subconscious mind. The inner abundance ritual has 3 phases, each designed to address a different aspect of your consciousness. You'll want to practice this ritual twice daily, once in the morning to program your day, and once in the evening to impress the patterns deeper during sleep. The first phase is called abundance recognition. This is where you train your consciousness to recognize and appreciate the abundance that already exists in your life. Most people are blind to their current abundance because they're focused on what's missing. But abundance consciousness sees and appreciates abundance everywhere. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and begin to breathe slowly and deeply. As you relax, bring to mind everything in your life that represents abundance, starting with the most basic blessings and expanding to include every form of wealth you already possess. Feel genuine gratitude for your health, your body's incredible intelligence, your ability to breathe and think and feel. Appreciate your home, regardless of its size. You have shelter, safety, a place to rest and restore yourself. Feel thankful for the food in your kitchen, the water that flows from your taps, the electricity that powers your lights. Expand your awareness to include the abundance of beauty around you. Trees, flowers, the sky, music, art, the faces of people you love. Recognize the wealth of experiences you've accumulated, the skills you've developed, the wisdom you've gained. As you do this, don't just think about these blessings. Feel genuine appreciation for them. Let gratitude fill your heart and radiate through your entire being. This feeling of appreciation is what transforms your consciousness from scarcity to abundance. The second phase is abundance embodiment. This is where you experience yourself as already being the abundant person you desire to become. Instead of imagining wealth as something you might have someday, you feel it as something you have right now. Still in your relaxed state, begin to embody abundance consciousness. Feel yourself as a naturally prosperous person. Sense the confidence that comes from knowing you always have more than enough. Experience the peace that comes from trusting that all your needs are always met. Imagine moving through your day from this consciousness of abundance. See yourself making financial decisions with confidence and wisdom. Feel yourself being generous with others because you know there's always more flowing to you. Experience the joy of being able to help family and friends without worry about your own resources. Make this feeling as real and vivid as possible. This isn't fantasy. You're accessing the consciousness that will create these experiences in your physical reality. The more real this feels, the more quickly it will manifest in your outer world. The third phase is abundance declaration. This is where you claim your prosperity as a spiritual birthright and declare your intention to receive unlimited abundance. From this place of feeling abundant, make declarations that affirm your prosperity consciousness. You might say something like, I am a naturally abundant person. Money flows to me easily and joyfully from multiple sources. I am worthy of unlimited prosperity. The universe delights in blessing me with abundance. I accept and receive all good things with gratitude and joy. The key is to make these declarations from a feeling of already having abundance, not from a place of needing or wanting it. You're not asking for abundance, you're claiming it as yours by divine right. Practice this inner abundance ritual consistently for at least 30 days, and you'll begin to notice profound shifts in both your inner state and your outer circumstances. Your consciousness will gradually align with abundance, and your mirror will reflect this alignment. But transforming your inner mirror requires more than just daily practice. It also requires healing the specific beliefs and patterns that have been blocking your abundance. This is what I call rewriting your prosperity story. Every person has a story about money, success, and what's possible for them. This story was written during childhood and early adulthood, based on what you observed, what you were told, and what you experienced. Most people never examine this story consciously, but it's running their financial life from the background of their consciousness. To rewrite your prosperity story, you must first become conscious of the current story you're telling yourself. Ask yourself these questions and answer them honestly. What did I learn about money from my parents and family? How did they talk about money? What beliefs did they express about wealthy people? What did they tell me about what was possible for people like us? What experiences have shaped my beliefs about money and success? Have I been hurt or disappointed in financial matters? Have I seen people I care about struggle with money? Have I ever felt guilty or bad about wanting wealth? What do I currently believe about money? Do I believe it's easy or difficult to earn? Do I believe there's enough for everyone or only for a few? Do I believe wealthy people are good or bad? Do I believe I deserve abundance? As you explore these questions, you'll begin to identify the specific beliefs and patterns that have been creating your current financial reality. Some of these beliefs may surprise you. You might discover that you've been unconsciously sabotaging your success because of programming you weren't even aware of. I worked with a successful architect named Michael, who couldn't understand why his income had plateaued despite his talent and hard work. When we explored his prosperity story, we discovered that he had unconsciously absorbed his grandfather's belief that too much success makes you a target. His grandfather had been a successful businessman who lost everything during the Great Depression, partly because his wealth had made him visible to people who wanted to take advantage of him. Michael had inherited not just the fear of loss, but the belief that success itself was dangerous. Once Michael identified this limiting belief, he was able to rewrite his prosperity story. He chose to believe that success was safe, that wealth could be protected through wisdom and good planning, and that being prosperous allowed him to contribute more to his family and community. Within months of adopting this new story, Michael's income began to grow again. He attracted bigger projects, charged higher fees with confidence, and built the architectural firm he had always dreamed of creating. Rewriting your prosperity story is not about denying your past experiences or pretending that money doesn't have challenges. It's about choosing beliefs that serve your abundance rather than limit it, and creating a narrative that empowers you rather than holds you back. The third aspect of transforming your inner mirror is what I call the gratitude multiplier method. This technique uses the power of appreciation to accelerate the manifestation of abundance in your life. Most people think of gratitude as something you feel after you receive what you want. But the gratitude multiplier method works in reverse. You feel intense gratitude for abundance before it manifests, which creates the magnetic force that draws it to you. Here's how it works. Choose specific abundance goals that you want to manifest. Instead of focusing on not having these things yet, feel overwhelming gratitude as if they had already manifested perfectly. If you want to increase your income, spend time each day feeling deep appreciation for the increased income that's flowing to you. Don't think about it as something that might happen someday. Feel grateful for it as something that's happening right now, even if you can't see the evidence yet. If you want a better home, feel profound gratitude for the beautiful home that's being prepared for you. Thank the universe for orchestrating all the details necessary to bring you and this perfect home together. If you want financial freedom, spend time in deep appreciation for the freedom you're experiencing, the peace of mind you're enjoying, the ability to be generous that you're expressing. The key is to make this gratitude feel completely real and genuine. This isn't pretending or lying to yourself. It's recognizing that in the realm of infinite possibility, your abundance already exists and is simply organizing itself to appear in your physical experience. I remember working with a woman named Patricia who used this method to transform her financial life completely. Patricia was a single mother working 2 jobs to support her children, and she felt trapped in a cycle of financial struggle. She wanted to start her own business, but felt it was impossible given her circumstances. I taught Patricia to feel profound gratitude every day for the successful business that was manifesting in her life. Even while she was still working her 2 jobs, she would spend 20 minutes each morning and evening feeling overwhelmed with appreciation for the business that was bringing her freedom and abundance. She would thank the universe for the perfect customers who were being drawn to her services, for the ideas and inspiration that were flowing to her, for the financial success that was allowing her to care for her children while doing work she loved. At first, this felt strange and artificial to Patricia. How could she feel grateful for something that didn't exist yet? But I explained that everything exists in potential before it exists in form, and that gratitude creates the bridge between potential and manifestation. Patricia persisted with this practice, and within 3 months, everything began to shift. She met someone who offered to invest in her business idea. Opportunities appeared for her to start working part-time in her new venture while maintaining some income security. Within a year, she had transitioned completely to her own business and was earning more than she had ever made working for others. The gratitude hadn't just made her feel better, it had literally rearranged the circumstances of her life to match the appreciation she was broadcasting. But there's something even more powerful that happens when you combine these 3 practices: the inner abundance ritual, rewriting your prosperity story, and the gratitude multiplier method. Together they create what I call a consciousness revolution, a complete transformation of your inner world that makes abundance inevitable in your outer world. As you practice these techniques consistently, you'll notice that your relationship with money begins to change naturally. Instead of approaching money with anxiety or desperation, you'll feel calm and confident about your financial future. Instead of competing with others for limited resources, you'll understand that abundance is unlimited and there's more than enough for everyone. You'll start noticing opportunities that you were blind to before. You'll find yourself taking actions that lead to prosperity without forcing or struggling. People will begin to respond to you differently because you're broadcasting a different frequency. Most importantly, you'll discover that abundance is not something you have to chase or earn or deserve. It's something you allow by aligning your consciousness with the infinite prosperity that's always available. But as you begin this transformation process, you may encounter what I call mirror resistance, periods when your outer world seems to contradict the changes you're making in your inner world. This is actually a positive sign that your new programming is taking hold, but it requires understanding and persistence to navigate successfully. When you begin transforming your consciousness, your old patterns don't disappear immediately. They're like grooves worn deep in a record. The needle of your experience keeps falling back into the familiar tracks until the new grooves become deeper than the old ones. During this transition period, it's crucial that you don't let temporary external circumstances discourage you from continuing your inner work. Remember, the mirror reflects your total consciousness. and it takes time for new programming to completely replace old programming. I often tell my students to expect what I call the lag time between inner transformation and outer manifestation. Just as it takes time for seeds planted in soil to push through the earth and become visible, it takes time for changes in consciousness to reorganize physical reality. But here's what you must never forget. Every moment you spend in abundance consciousness, every time you choose appreciation over complaint, every instance you choose to see yourself as prosperous rather than lacking, you're creating the new reality that must eventually appear in your outer world. The mirror never lies, but it also never fails to reflect whatever you consistently impress upon it. When you make abundance consciousness your dominant inner reality, abundance becomes your inevitable outer experience. Now that you understand how to transform your inner mirror through daily practice and conscious reprogramming, let me share with you some advanced techniques for accelerating this process and creating quantum leaps in your prosperity. Accelerating the mirror effect. My beloved friend, as you master the fundamental techniques of transforming your inner world, you'll discover that there are advanced methods for accelerating this process and creating what I call quantum leaps in your abundance. These techniques work by intensifying the signal you're broadcasting and creating breakthrough moments that can transform your reality almost instantly. The first advanced technique I want to share with you is what I call the quantum leap method. This practice is designed to create sudden, dramatic shifts in your consciousness that produce equally dramatic changes in your circumstances. The quantum leap method is based on understanding that major life changes often happen not gradually, but in sudden jumps, moments when everything shifts and you find yourself in a completely different reality. These quantum leaps occur when your consciousness reaches what I call a critical mass of transformation. Think about how water changes to steam. You can heat water gradually from room temperature to 211 degrees, and it remains liquid. But add just one more degree, that critical degree, and suddenly the entire nature of the water changes instantly. It becomes steam with completely different properties and possibilities. Consciousness works the same way. You can work on transforming your abundance programming gradually and then reach a critical point where everything shifts suddenly and dramatically. Your entire relationship with money changes. Your financial circumstances reorganize themselves. Your life takes on a completely different trajectory. To create these quantum leaps intentionally, you need to understand how to reach this critical mass of transformation more quickly. This requires what I call intensive consciousness immersion, periods of concentrated focus on abundance consciousness that accelerate the reprogramming process. Here's how to practice the quantum leap method. Choose a specific abundance goal that represents a significant leap from your current situation. This should be something that excites you and challenges you, but doesn't feel impossible. You want to stretch your consciousness without breaking it. For the next 7 days, dedicate yourself completely to living from the consciousness of already having achieved this goal. This isn't just daily practice. It's total immersion in the new identity and reality you want to create. From the moment you wake up until you go to sleep, think, feel, and act as if this abundance is already manifested. Make decisions from this consciousness. Solve problems from this perspective. Interact with others from this abundant identity. During these 7 days, eliminate anything that contradicts your new reality. Don't watch news that reinforces scarcity consciousness. Don't engage in conversations that focus on lack or limitation. Don't allow yourself to slip back into old patterns of thinking or feeling about money. Instead, saturate your consciousness completely with abundance. Read books about prosperity. Listen to success stories. Visualize your new reality multiple times each day. Feel profound gratitude for the manifestation that's occurring. This intensive immersion creates what I call a consciousness breakthrough, a point where your new programming becomes stronger than your old programming, and your external reality must reorganize itself to match. I worked with a man named James, who used this method to create an extraordinary transformation in his business. James had been running a small consulting firm for several years, earning a modest but limited income. He wanted to expand his business significantly, but felt stuck in his current reality. James chose a goal that represented a true quantum leap, increasing his revenue by 500% within 6 months. For 7 days, he lived completely from the consciousness of already running a highly successful multi-million-dollar consulting firm. He dressed differently, moved through his day with the confidence of someone who was already incredibly successful, made business decisions from the perspective of someone who had abundant resources, and felt constant gratitude for the success he was experiencing. During those 7 days, James's entire energy and presence shifted. People responded to him differently. He attracted opportunities he had never noticed before. He took bold actions that his previous consciousness would never have considered. The breakthrough came on the 6th day, when he received a phone call from a major corporation asking him to propose on a project that was 10 times larger than anything he had ever handled. His new consciousness not only allowed him to recognize this as the opportunity it was, but gave him the confidence to pursue it successfully. Within 4 months, James had not only won that contract, but had attracted several others of similar magnitude. His revenue goal wasn't just met, it was exceeded by 200%. His consciousness had reached critical mass, and his reality had shifted to match. This is the power of the quantum leap method. By creating intensive periods of consciousness immersion, you can accelerate transformations that might otherwise take years into a matter of days or weeks. The second advanced technique is what I call maintaining the mirror. This practice is crucial for sustaining your abundance consciousness once you've created it, especially during periods when your external circumstances might seem to contradict your inner reality. One of the biggest challenges people face when working with the mirror effect is what to do when external circumstances seem to be moving in the opposite direction from their abundance goals. During these times, it's tempting to abandon your abundance consciousness and fall back into old patterns of worry, doubt, and fear. But these challenging periods are actually the most important times to maintain your abundance consciousness, because they're tests of your commitment to your new reality. The universe is essentially asking, are you truly committed to this new consciousness, or will you abandon it when things get difficult? How you respond to these tests determines whether your transformation becomes permanent or temporary. The key to maintaining the mirror is to remember that external circumstances are always reflecting past consciousness, while your current consciousness is creating future circumstances. When you see challenges in your outer world, instead of taking them as evidence that your abundance work isn't working, see them as the last expressions of your old programming working their way out of your experience. Think of it like cleaning out a cluttered closet. When you first start cleaning, the room looks more messy than it did before because you've pulled everything out to sort through it. But this apparent mess is actually the sign that real cleaning is taking place. Similarly, when you begin transforming your abundance consciousness, old patterns may seem to intensify before they disappear. This is because your new programming is disturbing the old patterns and bringing them to the surface where they can be cleared away. During these periods, your job is not to react to the external circumstances, but to maintain your abundance consciousness regardless of what appears to be happening around you. Continue your daily practices. Keep feeling grateful for your abundance. Persist in seeing yourself as prosperous and successful. I remember working with a woman named Carol who experienced this phenomenon dramatically. Carol had been working on transforming her abundance consciousness for several months, and she was beginning to see positive changes in her life. Her income had increased, new opportunities were appearing, and she felt more confident about money than she had in years. Then suddenly, everything seemed to fall apart. She lost her biggest client. Her car broke down and required expensive repairs. Several bills arrived that she hadn't expected. Her old fears about money came rushing back, and she began to doubt whether the abundance work had been helping at all. This was Carol's test. Her old consciousness was making one final push to reassert itself, and her external world was reflecting this inner conflict. I helped Carol understand that this apparent setback was actually a sign that her transformation was working. The old patterns were being cleared away to make room for the new abundance she had been creating. Instead of abandoning her abundance consciousness, Carol doubled down on it. She maintained her daily practices even more consistently. She continued to feel grateful for abundance, even when her bank account was low. She persisted in seeing herself as prosperous, even when circumstances suggested otherwise. Within 3 weeks, everything turned around. She not only replaced the client she had lost, but attracted 2 new clients who paid significantly more. The money for her car repairs came from an unexpected source. Her income not only recovered but reached new heights. Carol had passed her test. Her abundance consciousness had become strong enough to maintain itself even under pressure, which meant it had become her new permanent reality. This brings me to the most important aspect of accelerating the mirror effect, that understanding that consistency is more powerful than intensity. While quantum leap methods can create breakthrough moments, it's the consistent daily practice of abundance consciousness that creates lasting transformation. Many people make the mistake of practicing intensively for short periods and then abandoning their practices when they don't see immediate results. But consciousness transformation is like physical fitness. You can't work out intensively for a week and then stop exercising and expect to maintain your fitness level. The most successful students I've worked with are those who make abundance consciousness a way of life, not just a temporary practice. They integrate these principles so completely into their daily experience that prosperity consciousness becomes as natural as breathing. This doesn't mean you have to practice formal techniques for hours every day. It means you learn to approach every moment of your life from abundance consciousness rather than scarcity consciousness. You make financial decisions from prosperity rather than fear. You interact with others from confidence rather than insecurity. You face challenges from trust rather than worry. When abundance consciousness becomes your natural state rather than something you have to work to achieve, that's when the mirror effect operates most powerfully in your life. Your outer world becomes a consistent reflection of inner prosperity, and abundance becomes not something you occasionally experience, but your normal, natural way of being. As we reach the conclusion of our journey together, I want to share with you the most important understanding of all, that mastering the mirror effect is not just about creating personal abundance, but about awakening to your true nature as an unlimited spiritual being capable of consciously creating any reality you choose, your reflection of infinite possibility. My beloved friend, as we reach the culmination of our time together, I want you to understand that what you've learned about the mirror effect extends far beyond creating financial abundance. You've discovered one of the most fundamental laws of existence, the principle that your consciousness creates your reality in every area of your life. The same mirror that reflects your abundance consciousness also reflects your health consciousness, your relationship consciousness, your happiness consciousness, and every other aspect of your inner world. When you truly master this principle, you realize that you're not just someone who can attract money. You're a conscious creator with the power to design your entire life experience. This is perhaps the most profound realization a human being can have, that you are not a victim of circumstances, genetics, luck, or external forces. You are a spiritual being with unlimited creative power, temporarily expressing yourself in physical form for the joy of conscious creation. Every challenge you face, every limitation you encounter, every problem you experience is actually your consciousness asking for expansion. Your outer world is constantly inviting you to grow, to heal, to transform, to remember more of your infinite nature. When you see a financial challenge, it's your prosperity consciousness asking to be developed. When you experience relationship difficulties, it's your love consciousness calling for healing. When you face health issues, it's your vitality consciousness requesting attention. Nothing in your external world is working against you. Everything is working for your highest good, even when it doesn't appear that way. The mirror effect ensures that you receive exactly the experiences you need to awaken to more of your true power and possibility. I want to share with you a story that illustrates this beautifully. Many years ago, I worked with a man named William, who seemed to have everything going against him. He had lost his job, his marriage was failing, his health was deteriorating, and his finances were in ruins. He came to see me feeling defeated and hopeless, convinced that life was unfairly punishing him. But as we worked together, William began to understand that his circumstances were not punishments, they were invitations. His job loss was inviting him to discover work that truly fulfilled him. His marriage challenges were asking him to heal old wounds and learn to love more deeply. His health issues were calling him to take better care of his body and reduce his stress. His financial struggles were inviting him to develop prosperity consciousness. Instead of seeing himself as a victim, William began to see himself as a student in the University of Life, receiving exactly the curriculum he needed for his highest development. He approached each challenge as an opportunity to grow and transform, rather than as evidence of his bad luck. The transformation was remarkable. As William's consciousness shifted from victim to creator, his outer world began to reflect this new inner reality. He found work that was more fulfilling than anything he had done before. His marriage not only healed but became stronger than ever. His health improved dramatically. His finances recovered and then thrived. But the most important change was in William himself. He had awakened to his true nature as a conscious creator, and this awareness transformed every aspect of his life experience. This is the ultimate gift of understanding the mirror effect, not just the ability to create abundance, but the recognition of your infinite creative power and your unlimited potential for growth and transformation. As you continue to work with these principles, as you master the art of conscious creation through the mirror effect, remember that your success serves not just you, but everyone whose life you touch. When you demonstrate what's possible through conscious application of these laws, you become a beacon of hope and inspiration for others who are ready to discover their own creative power. Your abundance creates abundance for others through the jobs you create, the services you purchase, the generosity you're able to express, and the example you provide of what's possible when someone aligns their consciousness with their deepest desires. Your transformation becomes a gift to the world, proving that limitations are not permanent, that circumstances can be changed, that every human being has access to unlimited creative power through their own consciousness. But understanding these principles intellectually is not enough. You must live them, apply them, make them the foundation of your daily experience. You must commit to the consistent practice of abundance consciousness, even when external circumstances might suggest that your efforts aren't working. I challenge you to make this commitment right now. Decide that you will no longer accept financial limitation as your reality. Choose to see yourself as a naturally abundant person who is learning to express that abundance more fully. Commit to the daily practices that will align your consciousness with prosperity. For the next 90 days, practice the inner abundance ritual every morning and evening. Rewrite your prosperity story to reflect the abundance you're choosing to create. Use the gratitude multiplier method to accelerate your manifestation. Apply the quantum leap method when you're ready for breakthrough transformations. Most importantly, trust the process. Trust that the mirror effect is working perfectly in your life, even when you can't see immediate evidence of it. Trust that your consciousness is more powerful than any external circumstance. Trust that you have unlimited access to the abundance of the universe through your own awakened awareness. The mirror is waiting for your conscious direction. Your subconscious mind is ready to receive new programming. The universe is prepared to reflect back to you whatever consciousness you consistently maintain. Your abundant life is not a distant dream. It's a present possibility waiting for your recognition and acceptance. The only question that remains is, what will you choose to reflect in the mirror of your reality? The choice is yours, and the power is within you. Use it wisely, use it lovingly, and use it to create not just personal abundance, but a life of service, contribution, and joy that enriches everyone around you. Now, if you're ready to discover the one phrase that can activate your abundance mirror instantly, you need to watch my next video. The Millionaire's Frequency. Say this one thing and money will seek you out. In that video, I reveal the specific words that immediately shift your consciousness from poverty to prosperity, the exact phrase that aligns your inner mirror with unlimited abundance. This isn't just an affirmation. It's a consciousness code that activates the deepest levels of your mind for wealth creation. Thousands have used this phrase to create dramatic financial transformations, and I'm going to teach you how to use it with maximum effectiveness. You'll discover why these particular words have such power, how to speak them with a conviction that multiplies their effect, and the specific times when they work most powerfully. This phrase works by instantly aligning your frequency with the frequency of money itself, creating an irresistible magnetic attraction between you and financial abundance. When you speak these words with proper understanding and feeling, you literally tune your consciousness to the same frequency that wealthy people naturally broadcast. Click that video now because your abundance consciousness is calling, and this phrase is the key that will unlock the vault of unlimited prosperity that's waiting for you. Your mirror is ready to reflect infinite abundance. Let's activate it together.